I'll figure that out in a minute.
Okay, I'll figure it out later. So, all right, folks. Well, we have some exciting stuff going on. Oops, and I just closed my screen, so I shouldn't do that. We have a dummy admin account set up for you all, and I will send you all this information so you have it electronically as well, because I don't expect you particularly to remember the password right now. Means it's complicated enough that people won't just remember it, but it's not too complicated that once you enter it in a few times you won't forget. So, oops. All right, let's get on here. So your login for the dummy account is going to be careercentral@acpa.nche.edu.
And Brian, what we'll do probably is just set this up as the default homepage on the computers.
On the computers? Yep, I think that's a great idea, Kristen. And then the password is right now capital HELP hyphen capital DESK capital C the number 3. Again, I will send that to you. So this is what the admin side looks like. You've seen this before. So it has all the kind of the same pieces that you would be familiar with as you were logging into the system. What we're going to walk through today is kind of show you a little bit of how to do approvals. So like Emily, that'll be useful for you on site if someone comes down with their receipt saying, hey, I'm registered, I need to activate my account now. We'll show you a little bit how to log in as other people and how to do stuff on their behalf. And we'll talk a little bit about how to really kind of manage this. And help desk, it will probably be really the 4 of us sitting down and working out a procedure for folks who are working at the computers. As in the past, I think we pick our best and our brightest. When you get your new set of employers, or new set of, not employers, sorry, new set of volunteers. Because although it's not terribly complicated, the ones who are probably more adept technology-wise are going to probably have a lot easier time with this than others. So the first thing I want to do is let's look at approvals. So let's say Emily or anybody else, if a candidate comes down and shows you the receipt and says, hey, I'm registered now, I need my thing activated. So on this left-hand side of the screen, you kind of always see the pending piece of this. So you have pending students, and then you can search. Now, nice thing is you could type in and filter by a name. You can sort this by the category that it's in, and you can go based on dates. Kristen, I haven't looked at anything yet, so I don't know if any of these folks are actually eligible or not. I'll let you.
Let me look real quick. I don't think so.
I just looked at pages 3 and 4, and no one was.
No one was. Okay.
No one was. But I haven't done page 1 and 2, so but usually.
Okay, so we're going to cheat a little bit, Kristen, then. So give me a minute here. Oop. Sorry, I'll let you drive. My bad.
Oh no, I was just seeing if one of them had yet. Let me try one more.
Okay.
Nope, sorry.
Okay. Well, here, what I'm going to do then is let's pull up your candidate account.
Yeah, and then deactivate it and reactivate it.
And reactivate it, yep.
Okay.
What are you under, Celenti or Skendel?
Both.
Both.
One under each.
Kristen has multiple identities. So currently you see Kristen's active, so we're going to make her inactive here or pending for a minute. She's probably going to get a lot of emails about all this, so this will be entertaining. Sorry, Kristen.
That's okay.
Okay. So let's go back. Let's start over. So you go into students, and you know that it's Kristen. I can type in Skendel contains, and then it pulls her up, and it shows that she's pending. So then if you click either on the record ID or the username, it'll pull up her account. And we can say, all right, all this. So you can do this one of two ways. These tabs up here correspond to the sections. So personal information is this section here. Demographic is the next one down. You can also scroll down in these and do the edits at the top of them. So whatever you feel most comfortable doing. That's the nice thing about this system I've noticed is that there's multiple ways to do things, and it's however you feel easiest and most at ease to doing it. So if I go to control information, this would be just like if I'd clicked at the edit it, and I know that she's active and she's ready to go now. I can move her to active and hit save. Right now, just so you know, the other piece of it in here is this yes, no. Kristen right now has herself set to no. So actually, if I was an employer and I was searching for Kristen, she would not show.
Which is good, because that would not be a good thing.
Especially right now, since Kristen is not job searching as far as we know. Now, what we'll probably do is, as we're kind of doing some of our edits on the candidate side and being able to do contact here next week, late this week and early next week, I'm actually going to go through and look at active candidates who have this as set to no already, and I'm going to send them a little email saying, hey, you know, no one can find you unless you change that to yes, so you might want to do that, and give them directions on how to do that. So, all right.
Brian, just so you know, some people have intentionally done that. Like I spoke with a woman earlier today who didn't want to be found. She just wanted to apply. So there are some folks who want to stay at no.
And that's fine. I think it's just going to be, hey, if you want to be searchable, it's not going to force them to do it.
Maybe we just put that in the next candidate email as an FYI.
I think that's a great idea. So
that way you don't have to go through and all that business.
I just have a quick question about that real quick. Like, I'm registered as a candidate, but I have received no candidate emails. Was that intentional?
You should have gotten one last week, or 2 weeks ago, excuse me. When did you put in your candidate piece? Was it a while back, Emily?
Oh, yeah. Like November, December.
Let's look.
It would have come from Sharon. Maybe it went into your junk mail.
I checked my junk.
That's good.
It sounded really bad.
Yes, it did.
My junk.
We'll have to look at it. She's sending another one out probably later today, Emily. If you don't get that one, then we'll take a look at it. Let me see. I'll check with Sharon on how she's pulling her reports too.
For me, it's not very critical, but I wouldn't want someone who is actually job searching.
Yeah, of course. So the other thing too, kind of as we're on that path, now it looks a little bit different for candidates or employers as they're in, but with the I didn't put under there. With each of the areas, so like employer webcast, so you can see I have the employer email up from February 16th and then the one I'm sending out today. The candidate ones, I don't think she has them up yet. And we may actually have to move those into the employer thing because they're going to lose it in that. But like if you actually click on this, anyway, you could view it. I'm not going to putz through the whole thing. But employers can see all these ones in here, so they could go out and look and see if they missed something as well. We'll take a look at that later. So, all right, so let's start back out in the beginning here again. Emily, does that make sense? I mean, pretty simple from an approval standpoint. Help desk again might be good for you to know as well, but that really is kind of in Emily's territory, so if Emily's around to be able to assist them, you might want to send them that way first, especially if you're busy over at the help desk. So, all right. Did I deactivate you again, Kristen? Probably not.
So because I'm not searchable.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't matter. Okay, so let's show you a little bit about how the schedules work, and this is kind of a nice thing too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull myself up as an employer here. if I can go out, I can find the employer. So, and I have one contact, one job, one schedule set up already, which is nice. So I can go in here and log in myself as basically who I am, which I know that sounds really funny, but if I go out here, as you see on this left-hand side, I can then log in as contact. So if an employer is having a problem seeing anything, or I'm not sure what they're seeing, or well, you know, what we want to do, we could go out and say, all right, look, here I'm now in as Brian as an employer. And I could go out and see, oh, look, you know, someone has applied, they haven't heard anything back yet. So I have 2 people who have applied right now. I have not accepted or denied anybody. Sorry, Kristen. But, you know, you're able to see what is submitted and everything else. So let's say an employer comes and says, you know, someone has applied with me and I cannot get their documents to print for the life of me, and they need assistance with this. And this is probably more for resource area. You know, you can come in and pull up the documents for the people. And so cover letter, resumes, and references. People are missing this at the top, just as a heads up. People are missing that the different things are up here. So just so you all are aware of it, that is one of the places that they can look. Oh, I logged out of the whole thing, didn't I? Oops, fun. The other thing that employers can do is make packets. So if I were to click all this and say create packet, now I can check it to email it to myself instead. Wait here as it moves along. It will give me a list of everybody who's in the packet, and then it actually has all the different people. So it has cover letter, resume, reference for the first person, resume for the second person. So for me, resume is required, the other are optional. So they don't have to submit them to me, but they can. Employers can then download all or print and view all, which is kind of nice. I might get back here eventually. Okay. So great, wonderful. So that's where my pre-selects are at. Let's say I wanted to see the schedule. Let's say an employer comes up and says, I need, well, we have to do it a different way, but this is, as the employer goes in, if I want to look at my schedule, I have the 3 interview dates here. The table number will be listed in here eventually. We don't have them assigned yet. I know, Sharon, or Susan, I'll get them to you, I promise.
It's fine. I'm just so happy you haven't done it, because I was like, oh, darn, I know I need to do something.
Yep.
Everything works.
So then I'm able to go in and look as, you know, an employer to see who's assigned. So if they come up and said, do I have someone assigned at 10 o'clock? Because they just want to know, I could go look and see, nope, it's still open, everything else. You know, I haven't done any of my scheduling piece or anything like that. So you can see how that plays out there. I'm going to jump back to the admin side for a minute, though. I'm actually going to close out of me. So if I go into the schedule on the admin side, you know, I can look at all this. And on the admin side, I can do things here. So let's say I don't want to be doing any interviews after 5 o'clock at night. I can highlight as many of those as I want, and I can do remove selected time slots for that employer. Okay. If they say we're going to be out of there at 5, go ahead and just remove them. Basically, the protocol is that if it's like kind of the end of the day, not wanting to do something or being done, we can go ahead and remove those. Even though I've screwed this up already, so this is kind of the point I'm going to tell you, is that let's say an employer comes up and says, I forgot to take my lunches off. Can you mark me out for lunch from 12 to 1? instead of deleting them, which I did on a couple schedules, so I apologize already, you might see breaks in people's schedules in the middle of the day, you can actually change the time reserve, type in that it's going to be lunch, save it, and it's there, and then you just basically go in and do it for the next part as well.
This can also be how you, this is one way to schedule an interview as well.
Yep.
Although the benefit of going through a candidate's account and scheduling it that way is that you see it's not hyperlinked here. If I, as a candidate, had applied for Brian's job through the system, my name would show up. It would be hyperlinked to my profile with my resume there.
Yep. And we'll go through, and since Kristen's active and I'm active, we'll actually go and do that to demonstrate with Kristen how that works too. So does that make sense of how to kind of block things off in here?
Now, does the employer can't do this? We have to do it for them.
We have to do this, unfortunately. That is correct.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
And what I've been telling folks is just the reasoning behind it, that this software is used by campus career centers for on-campus interviewing with off-campus entities like IBM, Hewlett-Packard, whoever is their local employer, and that since we're 0.1% of their client base, it would have been a global change for employers to have access to their schedule, and they weren't willing to do that for us. But that, every time I've told an employer about that, they're very understanding as to why they can't do it themselves.
The other thing I've been trying to tell employers as well is that, you know, from a standpoint, a candidate's schedule is usually less flexible than an employer's. So for a candidate to be able to go and select a time that works for them, that also works, you know, on their side is easier. And I've also instructed employers that, hey, if you want them to interview at certain times, tell them that in your email. You know, before you approve them to say, yes, you can do that, say, you know, before I approve you, I want you to sign up at this time. And actually, that is what I'm going to be doing on my scheduling because, you know, obviously I have more limited time of when I can meet with folks. If I'm going to schedule with anybody, I'm going to say, you know what, the time I can meet with you is at, you know, sometime between 1 and 3 on this day. If none of those work for you, please let me know and we'll try to find a different time.
So, Brian, this would also be how you block out for hour-long interviews and things like that?
A little bit different, but yes. And so here, let me jump back here a second. We don't have a good one here to do, but let's kind of look at pending. We're not going to approve anything in here. But this additional information piece, so like if you're going in to approve, and this is a schedule, one of the schedules here for Oberlin, they have 2 tables. They haven't purchased them yet, but and it looks like that they only want to interview on Saturday, which is weird. So we have I have a phone call out to Oberlin to try to figure out their information because it's a little crazy. But in this period, that might where they say, yeah, I don't want, you know, I want lunch 2 to 4 and everything else. So if I were to move forward from this screen, I would actually add a session. And Kristen, I think I'm just going to, it's going to be a little screwy, but they won't get an email.
It says 60-minute slot.
Yep. So then they're able to say 30-minute or 60, and then that will pull in the appropriate time schedule for that, so it'll automatically be put into those time slots, which is nice.
Okay.
And here I'm going to show you, because you get some really fun ones, and these are the ones that I'm starting to deal with now of my first interview. So the first day and the second day I'm going to do first interviews 30 minutes, and my second one I'm going to do hour-long and everything else. So it's a little bit time-consuming and stuff like that, but hopefully a lot of that's going to be done before we get on site. So, and what I would recommend Help Desk is that anytime they want to do a major schedule thing like that, the 3 of you really need to handle that.
Okay.
And then Emily will be good for you to know it. Ashley will know it. I'll know it. Kristen will know it, although Kristen will be running back and forth between us and the other area. Manny knows it. Sharon knows it. So I think there's enough of us that to be able to do something really crazy like that, I don't know that we shouldn't be letting the volunteers do something like that. I do want to find Berkeley here for a minute because they have a fun.
I'm on the phone.
I'm sorry?
Did you do that just because I'm on the phone?
No, it's just because theirs is actually really complicated, so, which is good. So, Berkeley. Berkeley has 3 tables for 3 days. And she had so much to send, she didn't put it in the additional request for information. She emailed it to me. And when tables show here, it's going to be a lot easier. So her first table on Saturday is 30-minute sessions starting on the hour. And so that it doesn't, and this is where I pulled out some stuff that I probably shouldn't have. So I could go back in and write 8:30, no interview, 9:30, no interview. I probably should have done it that way, and I will go back and fix it at some point. They have 12 to 1 off for lunch, or 11:30 to 1 off for lunch, essentially. And then they're done. Their last interview starts at 4 on the first table.
How do you go back and add time slots?
Oh, good question. I'll do this on the second one. I'll show you. Right here, add time slot.
Just note with this one, though, if it were listed as 60-minute slots, it wouldn't let you add that in there.
Yes, correct. So because I know this is a 30-minute slot schedule, no interview. And then it shows up. So I'll go back at some point to Berkeley and add their lunch back in and their no interview times and all that. It was after I did the Berkeley one that Kristen goes, you really should probably just be marking those off. And I went, oh, yeah. Oops.
So I think Greensboro is the one I did yesterday. If you look at theirs, you can see because they had, like, different breaks and things.
We'll come back to them in a minute here, too. So employers. Search.
So the only time you want to remove is when it's like the end of the day.
Right.
Correct, yep.
Or, like, for example, if lunch is 11:30 to 1, you could remove 12 and 12:30 and mark 11:30 lunch.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to mark lunch in all of them like I've been doing, but whatever's easiest. I mean, it's pretty obvious they'd still be on lunch at those times, so.
Okay.
So
this one, he has they have 2 tables, and so they have lunch and then a break.
I have a break lower. Oh.
The break should be where someone already scheduled an interview, so they have to move that
They
first.
have to move them first. So that's usually how that works. So you'll get some of that. They're like, oh, someone's in a time I can't interview. Well, they have to notify them and say, hey, move yourself. And then once they move them, we'll go in and they notify us and we'll change them. Here we go. So you have, so now here, this is, although it's on the first day, Kristen, that's interesting. They didn't want anyone to schedule on the second table. Someone already did once, but they didn't want anyone to be on the second table yet. They wanted to fill their first table first. Is that what I'm getting out of this, Kristen, since you did it?
Yes.
Okay.
So they need either Chloe needs to move or they'll just have one interview there, but he saw that that was already.
Did they do hour later at a different time for second interviews?
They wanted to change them. They had lots of different changes to it. So if you look at Monday, it looks different. Monday table 2 is different.
Monday table 2. Okay, here we go. So these are still half. I'll go back to Berkeley for this because I know the Berkeley one is in pretty good shape for this. So give me 1 second. Oops. Berkeley. here, this might be a work table. Oh, no, so these are hour-long second interviews. And what I'm suggesting to employers is that on second interviews, and I may even change these, right, say only available through help desk, I would just might change them to second interview help desk. This way that they have to send a note to the person saying, please sign up for a second interview on Monday. And then they can bring that up to the desk, and then we can actually change this in the system. So we can release 10 a.m., go in as the candidate, and then be able to sign them up for that time slot. So that way no one on the, they didn't want people to accidentally sign up for the second interview times if they haven't had a first interview. Does that make sense?
You could also, if they've had a first interview, then they're already going to be on their schedule somewhere, so you could do edit reserve slot.
Oh. Yep.
Because I don't think it will let you schedule 2 interviews with the same employer.
Oh, really?
Right. So if they've already had an interview on Saturday,
you want
to get in on Monday, you have to just do edit reserve slot and put their name
in. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Good to know, Kristen. See, those little things that I wouldn't even thought of that it would do. So, and as you can see here, it tells you the interview duration is 60 minutes, not 30. So if you look up all in this session information, it'll always tell you what if you're at 30-minute or 60-minute. Is that clear as mud for everybody?
Very clear, Brian. Pretty easy to work with.
All right, so then let's kind of show you how this works with signing someone up. So I'm going to become Kristen here for a minute. So Kristen comes up to me at the help desk, and she has a note from me telling her to schedule an interview. So what I'm going to want to do is go in and log in as Kristen. Kristen, is this the best way to do it as I'm thinking I'm doing this? So.
I would say if there's not a very long line, this is the most thorough way to do it.
Yep.
But if there is a long line, it's probably better to just put their name in the schedule.
Okay. So if it's a short line, everything else, this is kind of nice because it gives them all the information, which is nice. You know, it's with St. Thomas. Go in. Thinking. Yay, slow. All right. We are now waiting for the computer. Sorry. That's odd.
As if you, I'm going to take it back.
Go ahead, yep, sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah. Click on the little button, it's easier. So then she requests the interview. She tells what resume she wants. Request. Thank you, Kristen.
And the flip side, though, this is longer because now I have to go back to here.
Find me. Log in as me. Go in. Accept.
I think this might be too long, actually.
Yeah, now that we're doing it, yep. I think you're right, Kristen.
So I think we should just, for the sake of time.
Yep.
But then just so you see the whole process.
Then you would go back in as Kristen. Log back in as her.
Hey.
and then she'd be able to sign up for a time.
Wow.
Yep. And there she is.
That was a long process.
But
Yes,
see, the benefit is then when you log
You
in,
get everything, right.
in schedule, it shows up,
Oh.
which is the nice thing. So
Oh.
I wonder if what we want to do with those is tell the candidates when they have been accepted for interviews that they should go in and request the interview through the system, and then they can bring it up to us and we can just approve it.
Well, that's a good idea.
Because this is, I mean, it's much better for the candidate to have the full schedule, because otherwise what we'll have to do is make edits to
Yeah, and we're still going to want them to actually do stuff through the help desk, though, because we would want to. Oh, University of Miami, sweet. We would want them to, because we would need to get a notice out, obviously, you know, and we've talked about that, the kind of notice to those people of, hey, you know, we want to make sure that, you know, they're able to see, you know, that they have an interview coming up and things like that. So, you know, if it's a matter of that we're just plugging them into a schedule, we'll probably want to make the recommendation to the candidate saying, if you have not submitted a resume to them already, you may want to bring one with to your interview, just so they have a copy with them. And Kristen is putting a schedule together for Miami, maybe.
And then I know they have a table because we contacted them.
Oh, that's right. I've got one more person not to contact. So Kristen's giving you the down and dirty of how you do all this if you were to do the long way of approving people.
So I think if everyone's comfortable with having if a candidate gets a message in their box to make an appointment that they should request the interview through the system.
Yep.
And then we can go in as the employer and approve it. I think that will.
Yeah, but we'll still want to assign them as a candidate on site too, though. You don't want them going back and selecting a time, because then there's no way we're going to be able to notify the employer.
Right. Oh, that's true.
So kind of the cheat way to do it, I'm going to take this back, Kristen, now. Sorry. Is, as Kristen said before, if you go in, you know, on the side here, we can obviously do anything and everything. So if someone comes up and, you know, they say, you know, I've already submitted my resume and everything else, you know, they said, thanks for the resume, we do want to interview with you. If at that point you just wanted to add somebody onto the schedule, then I think you can go through, click it, type in the candidate's name.
And again, Brian, only if they bring us something that says that, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
So just like the good old days, Susan. It has to say, please sign up for an interview with us.
Yeah.
And it may tell them, sign up at 1 p.m. At this table. So we need to follow that as best as possible. So, okay, Kristen, I'm removing you from my schedule, by the way.
That's good, because I won't be there.
Oh, really? Oh, too bad. You don't want to live back in a women's residence hall?
I already live with women.
I know you do. So how does everyone feel? I know that was a little bit quick and dirty, but...
Yeah, I think it's good, yeah.
Good.
It was very helpful to me, Brian. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, well, not a problem. You know, that's part of what we want to make sure. You know, you are 3 people that are really going to be dealing with a lot of this, so it's a matter of that you need to feel comfortable in the system and make sure that you know it.
Yeah, no, it makes more sense to me now after going through it a second time, so that was helpful.
Yep.
Totally.
Cool.
All right. Any other questions?
Brian, are you going to send us people to contact or stuff to do in the system?
Yep. I'll probably send you people to contact.
Okay.
And then that way you can, what I'll probably do now that you all can access this, I'll send you the login and everything else, you can log in and get their contact information out of it, so you can try them at the different phone numbers or whatever you might be able to find. So the first initial, I mean, this has gone down, which is nice. I mean, the last email we just did to all the pending people seemed to push a couple of them along to at least say, oh yeah, by the way, I'm not coming. Okay, well good. Thanks for telling us finally. One including somebody who like put themselves in October or November, excuse me. Finally.
Cool.
All right, well thank you all so much. It's been great.
Thanks everybody. Good talking to you.